Okay, let's do a real quick overview about Wutang. I don't know too much about them. I know them, me from California, right? You're from
New York.
Why are you pissed?
So what's up?
Okay, so just to let everyone know, it's Saturday night. We've just been talking, and I decided to talk about Wutang because I know about them, but I don't really know about them. But let's go ahead. What's a quick overview about them? Who is Wutang?
A group from New York City, Staten Island. It's one of the smallest of the 5 boroughs. Not really known outside New York City. I mean, even if you live in New York City, there's a good chance you've probably never been to Staten Island.
It's an island, right?
Yeah, it's an island. Yeah.
Okay.
Wutang from the project in Staten Island called Stapleton Project. And basically.
But they're not all from Staten Island, right?
I mean, a few of them from Brooklyn, but I know what Dirty Bastard is, but I don't really remember who's from where it was. But for the most part, Staten Island is their primary place where they come from.
Right.
So, RZA, I guess in a sense, I mean, they were heavily grounded in the streets and stuff like that. And so even though when they first came out with like 9 rappers, there was more people in the background. But
So it's like a crew,
like a crew. Big crew.
But didn't they have he took the best of the best or something?
He took the best people with the best flow, best lyrics, and like 8 or 9 of them. And
or like in underground hip hop clubs and stuff.
Yeah, I mean they would go to underground hip hop clubs, but I don't really remember the whole. It was a while ago, of course. But basically, he put 8 or 9 of the best rappers, and eventually he came out, teamed up with Steve Ripken from Loud Records. They teamed up, and he put out Wutang, and
who's Steve Ripken?
He had a lot of records. At the time, it was kind of more. It was a hip hop label, but they tried to be more street. Stuff like that. It was pretty cool. I mean, they had a pretty cool label. Pretty cool.
Did they have who are some other main artists they had?
I don't even remember at this point.
Okay.
So at that point, they put the Wutang album out, and it just took the world by storm. It was just like nobody ever seen nothing like that. It was like 8 or 9 people, and it was not just 8 or 9 people. I mean, you could say the beats was different, like because RZA, what he did is he kind of incorporated a lot of Asian martial arts and kung fu movies into his stuff. So. I mean, even Wu-Tang Clan, that's kind of an Asian name. So it's like, and then Ghostface came with the comic book characters. Like Tony Stark was Iron Man, who later Iron Man movie's a big thing now.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, so in this sense, it was like a lot of comic influence, Asian martial arts influence, and street influence.
It's kind of like fusing a lot of different elements into one, which made it really unique. And then Ghostface even had he also covered his face too.
Well, at the time he was wanted by the law, so he had to actually cover his face. So like there was a very legitimate street element to it that people really loved.
Right.
It was really like you didn't really see that. I mean, you've seen that before, but not to that level where when Wu-Tang was really in the game, like they didn't even have hip hop beefs. Right. Like nobody would beef with them.
Why is that?
Even when they used to go to the West Coast, Death Row and them were cool with Wu-Tang. Like nobody, because they're really from the streets. Like it wasn't like I know somebody who did something and I copied their stories and stuff like that. Like they came legitimately.
They were legitimate, right?
Straight up.
They weren't someone like a corporation trying to make them who they are. Like even Ghostface, like I know like that whole name and stuff like that was like a staple of his character. Like he was so mysterious. I think Cool Keith does that now. Like I'm not sure if he still does it, but I know in the past like he used to wear like is it Cool Keith or is it MF Doom? I don't know, but I know like the mask concept.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then what was cool was that when they came out the album, it did really well. Then they started making their own. They had a clothing store. That was before. Yeah, that was before Puffy and Jay-Z all them come out with their own clothing lines. Like they had their own clothing store. So it was like it was almost like imagine printing your own clothes and selling them straight in the store. It was
I didn't even know that they had a clothing store.
Yeah, they made a lot of money over for the first 3-4 years.
What kind of clothing store was it?
Clothing, you know what I mean?
Like, was it like jeans?
Yeah, they had jeans.
Urban wear?
Wear,
oh, wow, okay.
And it was different than Fubu them because Fubu them, even though they started urban too, they built a company and they had more like what's the word, like a national push to kind of like a national push. So it's kind of like you see them in clothing stores. Wu-Tang came with their own clothing store. Right. So because they were so big, like they had such a kind of like grassroots type feel to them.
Right, I like that.
They would make a lot more money because they would just. It's kind of like you having your own store, printing up your own stuff. Where Fubu would probably have to have a partnerships with Macy's and other distributors.
And for people who don't know, Fubu was like one of the biggest
clothing
line, urban clothing line at the time.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to them?
I mean, clothing lines is, you know, something like they come and go.
Like crisscross.
Oh my God. You know, so, you know, I mean, at the time, I mean, you end up having people who, other people took that blueprint and copied it.
Right.
Once they took, like, they came. I think what made Wu-Tang so badass and so special at the time was just that more the fact that they kind of came and they put their whole crew on. It was like 8 or 9 people, and then it was so bad, like 8 or 9 people got record deals off that.
Right, that's true.
So like Method Man would do his own thing.
That's true.
You know, Raekwon would do his own thing. Like it was like Ultimate Bastard do his own thing. It was like
That's
8 or 9
true.
people where other people put themselves on, and then their crews came second.
Right, right.
It didn't make any sense. So it was like,
And they even had a whole little hand signal and stuff like that, the Wutang hand signal.
I mean, they had their own kind of like subculture. Like it was like their
right,
own.
they created their own like culture,
Yeah.
which is really unique to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's why today they will still stand apart. It's unique. They have like their own unique place in hip hop history for sure. I don't know if you ever have that ever again. In fact, I'm pretty much sure you'll never see something like that ever again.
No, yeah, but, and I think a part of it too is creativity. They took hip hop, but they inserted their own crew. They made it hip to be a part of. They inserted their own clothing line. They had their own little characteristics. They added art with the comics. They even hooked up with people like Mary J. Blige just to get a little bit more mainstream.
A lot of them were actually even 5%ers, so they actually put up a lot. They were like one of. They
So
put
they
out
had, like, a little
information.
spiritual-
They
spiritual
they got a little
information.
metaphysical too as well.
Well, and I think that's true.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, even people saying God body and stuff like that. That's 5%er talk, but they came with that. They came introduced that to the
And
mainstream.
for people, the 5%ers are?
They were kind of like a black nationalist group that kind
The
of
Muslim group, right?
an offshoot from it. I mean, in a sense, yeah, no question. Who basically hopped on, like, you know, they try to do their best for black culture and stuff like that, and kind of like to kind of hop on the divinity of black people. Basically, they kind of were one of the first people to come in with the divinity itself,
And the 5%,
not
and the
focus
5%,
on history as much, but the divinity itself of the black culture.
Right.
Yeah.
And the 5% basically means?
Well, 85% is asleep. I think 10% is running the world, and 5% is the resistance. Something like, I could get the numbers wrong, but that's basically what it kind of is. So 5% is like the ones who are aware. The 10% might be the rich people running the world, and the 85% are dumb, deaf, and blind.
The herd.
Yeah, basically.
It's
So,
interesting.
Yeah.
So whatever happened to like Wutang? Because I don't really care too much about
I mean,
them.
well, you know, I mean,
I know they got a couple of movie deals.
as
Method Man,
everybody
stuff
started
like
doing their
that.
own thing, they just went off in different ways, and then when they came back, it wasn't the same anymore. Like, there was, I don't want to say there was a lot of infighting.
When did they come back?
Getting the years, I don't. Tried twice. I just.
It just stopped, huh?
Well,
the
I
energy's
mean,
different.
once they reunited, it was hard to get the same buzz. It was hard to get the same, because everybody was rich already at that point, or had money and did tours. Like when they first came out, it was like straight up from the streets to
And
the
it
stage.
felt right.
Yeah,
so.
but now when they come back now, it's everybody doing their own thing, travel to the world. It's kind of hard to kind of like when you come back, your ego's gonna be bigger, so it's gonna be hard
That's
to kind of get everybody in the same boat again.
Didn't RZA do a movie?
Well, RZA's always been successful. Like RZA always was successful because he made the beats. He did like 2-3 movie soundtracks and stuff like that. So he was always making money and stuff like that. So I mean, he was the brains behind it for sure. There's no question about that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he was definitely the brains behind Wutang. No
Do
question.
you think they profited a lot of money from that?
Yeah, no question. No question. No question.
Anyone comparable today?
No, I mean. You have people like there were other rap crews afterwards. Death Row came out, Bad Boy came out. You know, there was other.
Hieroglyphics from the Bay Area kind of reminds me of them a little bit.
Really? Okay.
Because they had like the same, like they had their own little symbolism.
Yeah.
They were a little bit more conscious, but they weren't as gritty. Like when I think of Wu-Tang, like they you could feel the street credibility in them. You know what I mean? But they were still like for the Bay Area. They have like that cult following.
Yeah.
You know, Hyro. Like that's when I think of them. You know, they always did. You know, they used to collaborate with like new artists and stuff like that, and they still have like other followings, but that's like the West Coast.
Yeah.
But as far as like the Wutang,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can think of anyone who's like that.
I mean, you always have people who will like kind of mimic them individually, but you'll never see a crew come out like that again.
Who's been mimicked? I'm curious.
I'm just, there's
general.
always been street people in hip hop, like who really from the
Probably
street.
inspired by them.
Yeah,
huh?
but what I'm saying is, in terms of like when for Wu-Tang, when I was in Tokyo and stuff like that, you seen like they were big, they were like around the world, people loved it. Even now in Germany, stuff like that, they still love Wu-Tang.
Right.
Like,
I think there's like a level of like underground hip hop that like that is beyond the borders of the United States. You know what I mean?
I actually think RZA tried to do an international album before with certain Wu-Tang members. They started to get other members of other countries, like Wu-Tang members in Germany, Wu-Tang members in France. Even today, they're still very popular internationally. You know,
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that.
You know, because you know, because the rhymes are like, because you know, all 8 or 9 of them had their own unique. They brought their own unique style, so it wasn't like they were even copying each other. Like you look at a lot of groups today. If you look at
the kind of carbon copies of each other,
Young Money all sounds the same.
No original.
You know, I mean, Young Money. You know, I'm not gonna say Drake and Lil Wayne sound the same exactly, but you could tell it's the same. It's like
what's that new one? And who's the new artist that Dr. Dre put out?
Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar. Like I think he sounds like a fuse between Dr. Dre, not Dr. Dre, Drake and Lil Wayne.
Well, I just think that they probably he's young, so probably influenced him.
Oh yeah, okay, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
I mean, like you could.
But I mean, but even then, like but what I'm saying is like even if you're influenced by them, like Wu-Tang didn't have any influence. They were just like, this is us, and it's like I think sometimes people just need to, and I think I read somewhere that what's the guy's name? Dr. Drake's new guy, Kendrick Lamar. Like I even read somewhere that he was even found on YouTube rapping someone else's lyrics.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like sometimes you just have to be yourself and then just be unique, because I think that's what's missing is that individuality. Just be yourself, speak from your experience, which makes it more real, right?
Yeah. I do think though the times are different. I think it's a little bit harder to do that now. I just think
that's true.
Now it's just the herd mentality is just at an all-time level now. Right? People
so instead of 5%, there's only like 2%.
Maybe like people constantly copy each other constantly, or like copying now is like you see the movies where the big movies are comic books from the 80s, like or Transformers. Like nobody creates anything anymore. Like there's no real unique stuff.
There's no originality anymore.
So I just think that's not even from music or artists. I think that's going on everywhere.
Right.
You know, how many real new things do you really see? I mean, not really.
That's true.
You know, so I just think it's that. But Wutang would definitely hold a place in hip hop history, and it was cool.
How long? What year do you think the era was?
Oh, the 90s, no question. Like early 90s, like even to 2000, 2001, 2002.
I know Dave Chappelle used to put them on their show a lot.
Yeah, I was in high school, like early, like it had to be like 94, 95, and it was just
Ultimate. What's your ultimate Wu-Tang song?
Cream, Cash Was Everything Around Me. That was pretty cool.
How's that go?
Cash was everything around me.
Speed with the money. Dollar bill, yo.
Because Method Man had that voice.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. And then Raekwon was really the one who he was kind of one of the more, he was the, I don't want to say he's the most street, but he definitely, he repped the streets for Wu-Tang. So like, yeah, so when his first verse, it would just kill
it. It was like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think those people like that, they can feel the realness. And then, Oh Dirty Bastard, I know he passed away.
Yeah. Oh Dirty Bastard was one of those people who just, he just said whatever came to his mind, and that's what people liked him. Like, he would just, it's like, everybody has thoughts in their subconscious mind that you just don't tell people. He just did it. It's almost like he had no subconscious mind. He just,
like, did you hear that one single with Khalees? Baby, I got your mind.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, wow, this guy's crazy.
Like I said, like you're not gonna see any characters like that now. Now it's contrived. Like if there's somebody doing that, you don't even know it's real.
Yeah, that's true.
He wasn't doing it for attention. He was just doing it for him.
Why did he pass away anyway? Do you remember?
I
didn't remember either. Okay. And then and RZA is still around. You got Redman.
Well, no, Redman was in Wutang. He was kind of more Method Man's partner. So that's what happened though. Like Redman was on.
Oh, so Redman wasn't even from Wutang.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
That's not bad.
He just started being Method Man's partner. They did the albums together, so it's easy to make that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So he was just something like once Method Man got big.
From Jersey, I think.
Okay.
He wasn't from.
So he was never really from.
No. He just had him and Method Man really had good chemistry on the mic.
Yeah,
they had good albums and stuff like that. They put albums out and stuff like that. Like their chemistry was awesome on the mic.
I have to agree. Like I'm sorry, I'm from the West Coast, but when it comes from the hip hop, especially the classic hip hop, I'm not like the old school hip hop. Like the East Coast got it, and it was just weird because I know you from the East Coast used to always say the West Coast got it.
I never said that. I mean,
but you like Tupac.
I like Tupac. Yeah, I like Tupac. I never got into regional stuff, but I like Tupac. But no question, like, to me, I just like the East Coast because originally they had heavy lyrics in their stuff.
Yeah, I like that. The beats, the lyrics.
The lyrics, that's all.
It just seemed like it was birthed there, and it just feels right. Like, I'm not really into this West Coast hip-hop.
And a lot of stuff that are trends now, like, I mean, I remember grills and stuff like that. Dudes from New York were doing that in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it was grimy back then. It wasn't.
But even grills, like, you know, a lot of new stuff that people see, grills, they were doing that in the 80s. People had that.
That's
you know what
true.
I mean? Like, but now when the South takes it, it looks like it's some new shit. But it's always been like that.
That's true.
So, but I just think that New York was East Coast was too advanced. So when some people came, it dumbed it down a little bit. You know?
That's true. That's true.
So until next time.
Peace.